Welcome back to another episode of Develop, Integrate, and Sustain TV, keeping it simple. My name is Jeff.L.Lush. Thanks again for joining us. Today we're going to continue our discussion on thin computing in Phase 1. So if you have not looked at the first Phase 1, setting up the facility, you may want to look at that one first. We're going to kind of review both of them right now, but let's take a look here at Phase 1. So the first phase in Phase 1 is to set up this environment that we see here. Set up your users, your servers, your thin computing devices, and your deduplication device. Now the second phase here, second part of Phase 1, is to add the cloud computing capability. So we set to ourselves another data center, maybe it's a regional data center, that we replicate 20% of our clients to that regional data center. Now it's important to note here in this phase, to truly get a cloud computing environment, we have to be able to replicate the data to a second site. So when you take a look at this example here, we have 100 clients. We've said that we're going to give them 200 gigs of space, and we're going to have approximately 19 terabytes of data required to support those users. Now remember, when you're in a large environment, if it's just 100 users, you could potentially replicate all of that data to a regional data center. But most likely your environment may be larger than that. And so what we're trying to protect ourselves from right now is if this facility were to be unavailable, we would have at least 20% of our users here at a regional data center. In order to enable this in a thin computing or cloud computing type of environment, we have to have their data and their settings available at that regional data center. We can't just say we're going to just have just the user profile up there or the image up there available for them, because if they don't have their data and their settings, it's useless to them. So here we're just taking it at small chunks, 20% to begin with, to start that replication. Now what we'll use for replication, check out the other DIS TV episodes on host-based replication. There are many products out there that will enable this. To control your costs, you're probably better off just to do host-based replication by placing a host-based replication agent here on this server and replicate that data over your IP network up here so that it's in sync at all times. Now, does it have to be synchronous or asynchronous replication? Again, take a look at another one of the episodes here on DIS TV to understand the differences between those two technologies. This theoretically, dependent upon how far away that regional data center is, this is going to be an asynchronous relationship. So there is the potential, if this data center were to be destroyed for whatever reason, that this data could be out of sync, but it's not going to be out of sync by that much. A couple minutes at most in an asynchronous environment. So those are some risks that you're just going to have to take into consideration and understand. Well, that's all for Phase 2 of kind of building out the cloud, the 20% of the cloud users here. 100 clients, 20% of them are going to be cloud enabled. You can migrate in as many as you want depending upon your resources at both sites and your bandwidth between sites and the amount of data that you're willing to replicate over your network. So this is the first step to truly building a cloud infrastructure using thin computing. Thank you for joining us on this episode of DIS TV. Please continue to look at the configuration. The next one we're going to talk about is the configuration of the regional data center.